School Committee meeting for April 8th, 2026. This meeting is being conducted in person and is being recorded by the Auburn Cable Television. All are welcome to join us in person at 5 West Street. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the Auburn Public School website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using that posted agenda. Thank you. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you.
The vision of the Auburn Public Schools is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. Our commitment: we will create, maintain, and support an environment that fosters a sense of belonging for all students in our schools, respecting race, color, sex, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, homelessness, poverty, spoken language, and ability.
All right, thank you. Do we have special recognitions tonight?
Not this evening, Madam Chair.
Okay. Can I get approval of the minutes from March 18th, 2026?
Make a motion to approve the March 18th, 2026 minutes.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We do have two students here for the student report, so I'll turn it over to you guys.
Hi, I'm Amalia.
I'm Eve.
First we have the juniors are having an in-class field trip tomorrow with their guidance counselors to help them prepare for their future as well as a college fair. Spring sports have just started up and all our teams are doing amazing and are looking forward to this great season. Students are setting up for their AP exams by having mock exams during the school day. Spring break is also coming right around the corner and many students can't wait to get a week of vacation.
Prom tickets, guest forms, and guest tickets are due on Friday of this week for all attending prom, which is coming up on May 9th. The drama and band students went on a field trip to Broadway to see a performance of Ragtime, and they're having a workshop with the cast and crew. Today was picture day for all the clubs at the high school, and for officers and any trips that took place during the school year so far. And many students had fun representing. Like, I had to dress up for some of my clubs, so that was fun. And the NHS induction took place last night, where many students were there and all the other returning members, but that was really nice. And Ms. Chamberlain got recognized and other teachers retiring. So yeah, that was...
Mrs. Phelan and Mr. Creamer as well. The three of us
Yeah.
were recognized. It was very nice.
Great.
It was very nice. It was a beautiful ceremony. Beautiful.
Yeah, I heard it was postponed a couple times, so I'm glad
Nice, yeah.
finally we were able to
It
do
snowed
it.
yesterday morning. That's all.
All right. Do we have any questions for our student reps? No? All right. Seeing none, thank you both very much. You can stay for this boring meeting, or you can go on to do your homework or do whatever you need to do. It's up to you.
Thank you.
But thank you very much. All righty. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Chamberlain, for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have no student spotlight tonight, so we would move into new business, which is the public hearing for the FY27 budget. I don't know if you want to do this first, just.
Yeah, sorry, the order was out a little. So is anyone here for citizens' comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go back and check.
All right, and I'm going to join the team up at the podium for the budget presentation.
All righty. Well, that's the wrong thing.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those who are watching. Hoping that the presentation tonight helps you better understand our budget for FY27. We have gone through Select Board as well as the Finance Committee last week. And so last time for folks to ask any questions that they might have. And I'm appreciative of this amazing team that's here to support me through this. So we'll go ahead and get started. As we do, we begin with our mission, our vision, and our commitment to kids, focused on inclusivity, acceptance, and the building of relationships. This may change in the coming years, I don't know, but it certainly has guided our way for the time that I've been here. We are still guided by the strategic plan, which I suspect in short order will be updated, but focused on teaching and learning, health, wellness, and safety, and our community partnerships. The priorities set by you, the school committee, had to do with maintaining appropriate and effective class sizes, continuing to focus on anti-bullying initiatives, maintaining that focus on the social and emotional well-being of kids. We know they can't learn if they don't feel safe. Ensuring our contractual obligations are met, and that our faculty, staff, and students feel respected, and obviously respecting the financial support that the town gives to us each year. We know we are the biggest part of their budget. We know this is a lot of money, and we take what we do with it very seriously. So just a few things that I'll go through related to the budget. You've heard some of this before. We've adjusted staffing levels to meet the financial needs of the town. As you know, earlier this year, they asked us to cut about $100,000, which we did do. We believe we are still maintaining the class size recommendations of the school committee with 25 or less at the elementary levels and appropriate levels at middle and high school. There's a listing here. There are 6 positions that we will not be filling in the coming year. And just recently, we learned that our Title I funding will also be cut by about $150,000. So we have a couple of placeholders for 2 staff members. We believe once we get the actual money, which comes sometimes in July, we'll be able to fill those positions with what we have left over and what we receive. But until we get that money, we just don't know for sure. And as you can imagine, there are no new positions reflected in this budget. As we do, we've used our October 1st student enrollment. Our Chapter 70 money increased by just 1%, which is about $175,000, which is not very much. We were considered hold harmless, where we get $75 per student. Circuit breaker is anticipated at about 70% for budgeting purposes. We've projected our Medicaid reimbursement to be a little higher than it's been in the past. We've asked usually for about $160,000. This year we're hoping for $170,000. And again, our Title I grant funding is likely to decrease by about $150,000 due to a federal calculation determining that our poverty rate has fallen below 5%. This year, I think it's a little over 6. So you have to be above 5 in order to qualify for all of the Title I funding. We've level up funded all our other grant funding, so the 240 grant, the Title II grants. So because, again, we don't know ahead of time what we'll get for money that way. Supplies and school-based materials have been nearly level funded, and I did point out at finance that I've said that line for 4 years now, that our supplies have been level funded, which in essence is a cut, because as we all know very well, particularly recently, everything costs more. So I just wanted to make that point. That's also impacted things like curriculum competitions, which we've not increased, yet the transportation to go to those curriculum competitions costs more, right? So you do a little bit less and look for other ways to find ways to provide that to kids. Our bus application fees will be used to offset $200,000 from this budget, and we continue to use our revolving accounts, building rental, satellite and Galaxy, preschool, music, fine arts, athletic, and tuition revolving accounts to offset this budget. We're going to talk a little bit later about school choice, hoping to fund 87 school choice spots in total, but we'll talk about that later this evening as well. As we do, we've accounted for a 5% increase in special education private school tuitions. All of our contractual obligations have been noted in this budget, but as you know, we are in the process of negotiating with our custodians, our secretaries, and our instructional assistants. Those negotiations are going very well, and I'm hopeful that in short time we'll be wrapped up with those. Oil pricing is a bit of a bear. You'll see that we have the funding for FY26, but we are part of the French River Collaborative for that bid process. Mr. Gregoire attended a meeting about that. There's a lot of anxiety about what the price of oil is going to be in the coming year. But the collaborative as a whole does have a surplus. So we're hoping that between the surplus and some adjustments in our needs, when we look carefully at what we really need for oil, all districts will benefit by having that surplus. So we may not be hit too hard with that. And we collaborate with the town for electricity and national gas contracts. So that's starting up now with the town manager related to that. And we hire an outside source who looks at all those markets to get the best pricing for that. The rooftop arrays at the middle school and high school, along with the project in Rutland, will continue to reduce our electrical costs in FY '27. So we have projected offsets totaling $3,685,802. I did provide you again with a historical look at student enrollment. We, like many other districts across the state, are seeing a slow decline in enrollment. People aren't having as many kids as they were, yet that is coupled with a dramatic increase in our special ed enrollment. So obviously that requires additional resources, which last year, if you recall, we did add special education staffing to adjust to that. So there were a couple of years where we had our EL students that were placed here. We got a significant amount of funding from that. That money is now done and gone. We don't have that as a resource anymore. Our enrollment for special education continues to rise, and we're seeing an increased need for very high level of care for some of our kids that's needed that we simply can't do. And as you know, we have 2 residential placements this year, which we've not had for a very long time. But nonetheless done because we just don't have the capacity to support the needs of the students. We've not heard any rumblings that the 240 grant won't be funded appropriately. We did hear that last year, but until we get that money, I will tell you that I question what will come through from the federal government. Student enrollment, and we watch the impact on staffing. You'll see that this year or next year at Swiss right now, we've budgeted for 7 teachers, right? A couple of years ago, they had 9. We also have a very small second grade class coming up. So we try to adjust the staffing we have based on our enrollment. Likewise, Bryn Mawr will get a 4th first grade, again, based on enrollment and the numbers that they need for that. So this year they only had 3 because the enrollment dictated that. So we try to be really thoughtful about that. Chapter 70 funding isn't final, so we'll wait and see. Sometimes in May, last year we heard late that they doubled what we were getting. That would be helpful, but we don't know that yet. And again, our utilities are going out to bid this year. So now we'll begin with the actual public hearing. Mrs. Harrington, if you would introduce each speaker, and anyone with a question can ask for a hold. But I don't see any community members here, so I'll turn it over. You can go ahead and turn it over to the next speaker.
Well, I'll call up Mr. Alan Keller, the assistant superintendent and the preschool principal.
Thank you very much. You've heard me present previously on the budget for teaching, learning, and curriculum in preschool, so I won't go into detail other than to read the current budget number for that, which is $1,101,960.37.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mrs. Jennifer Stanek, the business manager.
Good evening. For central administration salaries, we have a cost of $645,961.35. For central administration support costs, $1,875,994.35. And for central administration total budget, $2,521,955.65.
Did it. All right, thank you. That's good. All right, next is Miss Carrie Cox, the Director of Pupil Services.
Good evening. So I'm the Director of Pupil Services, and for the Pupil Services salaries, it's $2,209,737.08. And for Pupil Services support costs, it's $1,097,229.50. And total cost for Pupil Services is $3,306,966.58.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next, I'll call up Glenn Gregor, the Director of Facilities. I'm sorry, I may have just butchered your last name.
Just one. There we go. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. For the Facilities Department for the Auburn Public Schools, we are requesting $329,389.79.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We gotta skip Eric.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if he was back. Okay. We're going to move on to Mrs. Brooke Beverly from Bryn Mawr Elementary School.
Hi. For Bryn Mawr salaries, we have $2,758,389.36. For Bryn Mawr support costs, $106,145. Bryn Mawr's total budget, $2,846,534.36.
Okay, thank you. He's back. I'll give him a minute. We'll move on to. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I'm getting
That's
over
all
a
right.
cold. Hi. Director of Technology costs this coming year is going to be $693,054.00.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next will be Mrs. Cheryl Carlson from Packagug Elementary School.
Good evening. Packagug salaries is $2,545,385.69. Packagug elementary support costs is $127,617.50. And the total budget for Packagug Elementary School for the FY27 school year is $2,673,003.19. Any questions?
Nope, seeing none. Thank you very much. Dr. Susan Lopez from Swanson Road Intermediate School.
Good evening, everyone. Swiss salaries for the FY27 school year will be $5,234,852.79. Support costs will be $223,480.25, and the total budget for FY27 is $5,458,333.04.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Matt Carlson from the Auburn Middle School.
Good evening. AMS salaries will be $5,804,939.63. Our support costs will be $327,733, and our total budget will be $6,132,672.63. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Mr. Daniel DeLongchamp from the Auburn High School.
Good evening. Auburn High School salaries, $7,730,000. It was $7,730,000.
Third time's the charm.
My good gosh. $7,730,67.69. Auburn support costs $496,177. Auburn High School total budget $8,226,244.69. Our athletics and fine arts total costs are $659,993.32.
Good job.
You made it.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
None of us could do better.
Yes.
I know that many people think it's easy, but when you're reading those numbers, it is not easy. So tonight, we're presenting to you a draft budget of $33,968,107.62. This reflects a $1.2 million increase over the FY26 budget of $32,687,276. It also uses $3,685,802 in offsets, and this equates to a 3.92% increase over the FY26 appropriated budget. Just for the public to know that, when this began, we were at 4.19, even at that with some cuts. And I feel like we've tried to be a team player with the town, understanding that there are a lot of competing interests for the funds that are available. And hopefully that we have shown respect in how we have done that. So we've tried really hard to be so. So we're thankful to the support of all of you. We're thankful for the support of the community, certainly town leadership and the town board's finance and select board. They ask us a lot of tough questions, but they understand the support that we need and the importance that a school district plays and the value and it brings to a town. So we work really hard to make everybody proud. I'm appreciative of the efforts of all of these folks. And we'll move forward to town meeting after this. And just to remind everyone, right, history's going to judge us by the difference we make in the lives of everyday kids. So I appreciate your support. Any questions?
Any questions from anyone?
Can you just read the numbers again, Ms.
I think we can close the public
Okay,
hearing.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to close tonight's public hearing of the FY 2027 budget.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is a vote. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. So thank you. So anyone who isn't here for remaining items, you are free to leave. I appreciate you coming and thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Guys, come out all alone and over here.
Alrighty, we will move on to unfinished business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the next item up are the cell phone surveys. As you know, at our last meeting, I went through some of the data related to the cell phone surveys that were conducted with students, staff, and families at Auburn Middle School and Auburn High School. As you know, this all stems from last year's cell phone committee that was determining how we should approach cell phone use in schools. I will say that we did decide that we weren't going to survey Swanson Road School, just because of the nature of, they really didn't have cell phones. This was more of a formalization of that process for them. But Dr. Lopez is here if you have any questions for her as we go through this, but seemingly things have gone exceedingly well at Swanson Road. There have been no issues or complaints. Would you agree, Dr. Lopez? Yeah. So as we go through this, if there's anything for her, she's been willing to stay. So I just want to revisit some of the data that was shared the last time. So this again comes from the bigger survey that I shared with you at the last meeting. So in general, as you can see, our families at both Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School strongly support the cell phone policy, the no cell phone policy that was put into place. This was a question specifically for middle school, and this has been one of the issues that has been, I guess, not clearly defined to some degree. But our families say that, they have enough time, and sometimes they have enough time. But there are a good group of families saying that kids may not have enough time to get to their lockers. In both cases, around 35%. What does our staff say about the school's no cell phone policy? Again, both at Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School, there is strong support for these policies. We hear that from our staff and our teachers in our buildings, and Mr. Carlson and Mr. DeLongchamp can talk more about that, but they are strongly in support of what we've done over the course of this year. How often do you observe students attempting to use cell phones during the school day? This has in large part been reported as rarely. I think we all knew going into this that they weren't going to magically disappear and we weren't going to see them. The idea of this whole thing was not to punish any kids or in any way to punish anyone, but simply to try and use the no cell phone use to make our school environments a better place to learn. Our staff.
Sorry.
Yep. This is from staff. Has the no cell phone policy improved student focus and classroom behavior? In large part, it's either yes or somewhat. A couple no difference, but it seemed to get better in March at the middle school. So if we can say that this has improved student focus and classroom behavior in some way, I think it shows that the staff are in support of that and that it has made a difference in our classrooms. How difficult has it been for them to support the cell phone policy in their classrooms? In large part, this has been easy to support or mostly manageable, right? So it hasn't been a heavy lift on any classroom teacher. Again, with staff, do the staff say at the middle school that they have enough time to get to their locker? They resoundingly say yes. But certainly that's something I think we can talk about. What are our students saying? So do you think the no cell phone policy has improved student focus in class? So at the high school, if you put together the yes and the somewhat, It's roughly 53%. No difference, 35%. Worse, 11%. Middle school, again, yes, over half say yes and somewhat, that it has improved student focus in class. 37% really, there's no difference from before, and only 7% say that focus got worse. Do you feel safer, less safe, or about the same with having, and there is a typo in this, with having access to your cell phone? It should say with not having access to your cell phone, but I did check the survey. The survey said it properly, so excuse my typo there. At the high school, safer and the same, about 46%, less safe, 53%. But you'll see that at the high school, less safe, which is the purple line, from October to March went down significantly, from 60% down to maybe 42% or so. And then at Auburn Middle School, again, that less safe did go down much less, right? So it went from maybe 52 to 49%, something like that. So again, our kids are saying something related to as far as feeling less safe for some of those kids. And again, they do not believe that they have enough time at their locker. So certainly there's an issue with the lockers. So I think at this point, what I'll say before I go on is that in your packet, I did share what was shared previously with you related to the guidance from the Attorney General, the Massachusetts Attorney General, about cell phones and social media in schools. So that's something that we can talk about in a bit. But now Mr. DeLongchamp and Mr. Carlson will talk a little bit about their lens on all of this from the school level. And jump in at any time if anybody's got questions, please.
Absolutely. So when we take a look at incidents, I wanted to make sure that I define the incidents in that upper definition where it was videotaping, taking pictures without permission, videotaping physical altercations between other students, inappropriate content on phones, and harassment of students. Those incidents that might have led to consequence. So in the 24-25 school year, there were 10 of these behavior-related incidents during that same time period. We tried to make sure where we haven't completed this school year that we took it from September to March. During the 25-26 school year, I'm happy to report we've had 3 such incidents. Any questions in regards to that? Okay. This chart does not indicate the 334 occurrences where we might have a phone or a student might be sent out of class for a phone. There's no consequence for that. The kids just pick up their phone at the end of the day.
So this is more significant disciplinary issues?
Yes. Yes.
Through the chair, sorry. Do you find that there's like a significant lift for admin with teachers sending the kids out for having a phone, or has it like diminished a little bit? Meaning, like, in the beginning, did you have a lot of kids coming to you, and now it's kind of slowed down a little bit, or is it like impacting your ability to do your job? No,
I don't think so at all. I think in a way, we're able to communicate with a greater amount of students sometimes even. I mean, again, we try to take a look at each one of the situations and turn it into a learning situation. You know, we might start with asking the student the why and trying to make sure that it's not repeated. In any of these situations, when you're dealing with any kind of behavior change, right, you don't want to see it repeated. So you want to make sure that whatever the conversation is, it's meaningful. So, but no, I don't think Mr. Walton's been fantastic with his support. And it has not been an overly heavy lift. So as far as, you know, and again, I should have reversed the slides, because there's so much positive that's come from this. I know earlier that I spoke to you all, the onset of school, the liveliness of the cafeteria, when we have 300 to 400 students spill in the cafeteria, and to see them engaging and not with their heads down. And I think I mentioned to you at one time in the past, even seeing the kids read. I don't know how they can read with so many people talking. But they are doing that. I was just recently, I think I spent an afternoon where I was in 10 different classrooms. I did not see one phone. I saw students that were more alert in the classroom. I think they were focused. There was a greater amount of participation that was happening in the classroom. And I think those were things that might have been more of a struggle last year. The positive interactions in the hallways and around the building. I can't, kids aren't in their phones. They're not, they're alert. They're not bumping into each other. They're not reading something that might set off their whole day, because all it takes is one message for us to be completely distracted. And it doesn't matter if you're 55 years old or you're 15. I absolutely think there's been an increased productivity, despite maybe what some of the students might say. When you go into the classroom, they're engaged, they're having good conversations about whatever the subject matter is, and we're seeing good things there. And then overall, we're just seeing an increase in social interactions. So I really, truly find it to be, it's been a total benefit for us at the high school. Any questions?
I have one for the chair. Would you recommend that we keep the policy how it is and we just move it forward?
I would absolutely recommend that we keep the policy as it is. Yes. I think 26 weeks or 27 weeks isn't enough, but I think our kids have really responded well.
Chair, we've heard some talk about, and even from the data that, and I'm putting it in air quotes because I don't necessarily agree with that, kids don't feel safe.
Sure.
Where do you think your high school students are, why do you think they're saying that? Is it because they can't have just constant access to texting their friends and parents? Or is it, do you think there's anything behind that statement?
Sure. Well, right from the onset, even when we started to message kids last year, we would absolutely never, ever deny a student a phone call with home. Ever. That's always an option. We have students that come down to message their families with maybe a change in their afternoon schedules. The other thing that you have to remember too, they all have a one-to-one device. Every one of our students, they have the ability to email their families at any time. I've messaged out families to let them know that that is one way they can communicate with their student. And we don't take the phones, right? Unless there's an infraction. They have the phones in their bag at all times. So when I look at all three, I know it's a big change. I'm not a clinician in the sense that to know exactly why they, I think about how much of an appendage the phone has been with students in the past, right? I mean, I've been doing this a long time. And in the past, when we've asked to have a phone be put in a table or left in an office, it's been a real struggle for some students. We don't really have that struggle anymore at all. I think they trust that we're not looking at their phone because we're not. We're keeping it safe and we're returning it. We've not had one incident where we've lost a phone or a phone has been broken on our watch. And I just think, I think maybe some of the response is the fact that they just don't have that ease to communicate with somebody, whether good or bad.
So what I'm hearing is they still have access to their parents. They can email.
Oh, absolutely. I would never.
Lots of emails from my kid.
Yeah, they have our main office. If it's something that's private, they have my office or Mr. Walton's. But then at the same time, like I mentioned, they can always email.
Perfect. Thank you.
So through the chair,
Yes.
kids are not told they're not allowed to email their parents during the day.
They are not told that at all. No.
And if a student, let's say their parent only has access to text messages, could they text from the office? So come to the office, say, let me text my mom, and then I'm shutting my phone off and putting it away.
So we've worked with individual situations like that when we've had to. We have one particular student that there's a real strain with communication. So we do the best we possibly can to work with that student to make sure that there's communication.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? No. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And actually, if I can add to that, oftentimes when we'll do the same thing on case by case basis, but a lot of times, sometimes parents they hit us to voicemail when we call. So that text message is actually a real quick thing. So we just bring it down to the office and do it. So it's actually worked out well. It's usually for a ride or some after school activity. So our discipline data. So we've tracked it. We have a referral submission form that we put through Google. So we've been doing this for about 8 years, but I pulled the data from 23-24 up until today. So as far as what I did was I went line by line, looked at every incident that we've had around cell phones and backpacks and or lockers. Specifically with the cell phones, these were not just put it away, it's out. These were incidents of videotaping in the bathroom, videotaping teachers, texting to go home instead of going through the nurse, which is proper channel. A lot of students don't like to visit the nurse's office, so they go to the bathroom, they'll text, things like that. So we had 55 of those, plus backpacks and lockers. Initially, we were seeing students stealing, playing pranks on each other, stealing stuff out of the backpacks, pulling on the backpacks as they're walking down the hallway, because they're enormous, and middle school students carry everything that they own. So as we've, and it's pretty much, our data is pretty consistent from year to year. We do have different groups of students with different personalities over the years, but it's relatively the same. This year, as you can see, it's been dramatically lower. We're projected, so I'm a math guy, so I did the projection. So right now we have 15 cell phone incidents, and we're looking to have maybe about 21 at the end of the year. Now, the severity of this is not videotaping. We've had one major cell phone issue in the past week, and that took place outside of school, but those things do come into school. But as far as the school day, the incidents have been second offenses. Basically we've had to bring them down to the office and hold them in the office, because that's our second time policy. First time is off and away. Second time is we hold it, and the third time we would call the parent to come in and come take it, and then we would have a conversation about that. And so backpacks and locker issues, most of this is being at the locker at the wrong time, which that is something that we are looking at going forward. I think, it was our first year with that, but we can do better, and we know we've been listening to the students about that. So we have, taken some steps, I think, towards next year to be able to give them much more access throughout the day. We just got to figure out how to do it safe. We have a top and bottom situation. So, a lot of times the bottoms have to go at a certain time and the tops have to go at a different time. Otherwise you get hit heads, you get, people end up being late because they're waiting for the person above them. It's more of a social situation. So we try to be a little bit more purposeful with that. So we're looking at that. So our positive outcomes, overall behavior incidents, like I had said, we had gone from, really refusal, disruption. It used to be an argument about it. With the expectation, we always had the expectation was off and away in the backpack. The difference is now the backpack is in the locker. But that has really made a tremendous difference, as you can see with the data. In this, like I said, the severity of the incidents is, we've had one relatively, serious incident that's happened so far this year. And we've decreased everything by half. Disruptions during instructional time, like Mr. DeLongchamp said, at any point in time, if a student wants to call home, we give free access to guidance, the nurse, the office. Every single classroom phone can call out. So sometimes the teacher will say, hey, you need to make a phone call, go ahead. So there's definitely less arguments. We used to have battles. We used to have to call parents in often to come in and relieve their child of their phone. Just because it became almost part of them. And I think I have the same issue. It's very difficult when you forget your phone somewhere. So I totally understand the feeling, but it's allowing the students to focus more on classroom lessons, in my opinion. So no physical interactions, kind of transitioning to backpacks. Those physical interactions, the pushing, the shoving, the perceived bumping, like I said, they carry everything, so they become top heavy in the wrong direction. So a lot of falling, damaged missing items. There was a TikTok trend where they were stealing the Nike backpacks, the zippers. It was a real thing. Who could collect as many as possible, but those backpacks cost $75. And, I can't tell you, 2 years ago, I think Miss Clough, she had to have 3 backpacks replaced because of the theft of the zippers and the ripping that happened. So it's just a lot of procedural paperwork stuff that that's just really big part of the decision to move to that. And the students know what to expect. Overall, I think that we try to create an environment where they can come to us about anything. That's their safety is our utmost importance. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And the teachers actually get more time to teach. you know, so that's, you know, instead of saying put it away, you know, we try to approach everything with common sense. You know, as far as giving enough warning, like we don't go 0 to 100 with our discipline system. Everything is progressive with us. So, you know, it's you know, it's been a refreshing. It's been refreshing. You know, I guess that's the word that I could say. And like Mr. Longchamp said, much more interaction. We never allowed to have them out. But, you know, even with the iPads, we used to allow the iPads at lunch. And now they're talking, you know, and they're moving, and it's much better. So I think that's it for me. Do you have any questions?
Questions or discussion?
I have the same question. Would you also be in line with Mr. DeLongchamp and say that the way that the policy is written now is moving forward? You would like to keep it?
Yeah, I would. I'd be 100% in favor. It's allowed me to be in the classroom a lot more. You know, it's like, it doesn't seem like a lot when you have these escalated cell phone issues, but the investigation that goes behind it, there's almost so many privacy issues that happen, particularly in the bathroom. You know, it's just, when we used to have a problem, it would be a day. You know, it would be a day of contacting people, bringing parents in. And so far, you know, I'm able to do more, you know, and Ms. Clough for sure, because I definitely delegate a lot of this to her, but it's definitely, yeah, it's been a lot better. So I would agree to keep it.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Through the chair, I think that definitely, like, an area of improvement is definitely locker access. I think you're aware of it. I think the kids have spoken, like,
100% agree.
I know my own daughter is like, I don't have enough time. Yeah. You know, again, I'm a teacher, so I do see, like, both sides of the story, like, but I think we just need to maybe try something different with the lockers. But I think seeing that both you and Mr. DeLongchamp, like, really feel that the cell phone policy should stay as is tells us something.
Yeah, and
that it is working. And
with the lockers, I was trying to be this visionary guy coming in my first year, be like, let's add more time to the classroom and less time in transitions. And you know what? It didn't work. So we're definitely looking at that right now. You know, we want to make sure that they do have time, that they're not rushed, because that can create anxiety. Yeah. There's all sorts of things that we want to avoid. So, yeah, so more to come on that one, but definitely we're developing something. So
great.
Through the chair, I don't know if there's much that can be said about this, but besides the classroom and the bathrooms with phones being an issue, another thing I've known is the locker rooms. Because at our school we don't allow phones in the locker room. High schoolers, no, they're not going to listen. And I know that there have been a few incidents where I was witness to one of them my freshman year, where someone took a photo of another person's outfit and like shared it and then like showed it to other kids. And obviously like I reported it, and the teacher said they were going to keep an eye on that student, but I think that the locker room is definitely a big area for concern when it comes to cell phones, especially if like people are changing.
Mm-hmm. Mr. DeLongchamp, is that something that you've spoke? I mean, I think that's going to be primarily at the high school.
Can I speak from here or okay?
No, you got to get up.
We're official here.
School safety is our utmost concern, and that's the last place where we want to have any kind of situation occur, would be in a sensitive place like a locker room. I know that our phys ed teachers, they go over those kind of situations. While I can't remember exactly how that particular situation with you, Piper, that you expressed, how that all came down with an investigation, I know that those things are all looked at case by case. And I believe that all three phys ed teachers make sure that they are in the locker room as much as they possibly can be after phys ed classes, and have gone over those kind of rules. Those are built into the syllabus now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's there's no, with 740 teenagers, and all of the changes with technology and having it ever change to stay on top of things, and to stay ahead of them almost is challenging. But everything that we do is looked at from a lens of safety to make sure that kids can focus on what's most important at school and not worry about somebody videoing or photoing them. So we do take that very seriously.
Can we flip now, because we still have a couple of more slides?
Of course I can.
Yeah.
So, and you guys can talk about this, right? But locker access at the middle school, we know we can improve. This was our first year with all of this, and like anything, we can get better. What we didn't really talk about tonight, but was evident in some of the surveys, I didn't highlight it again here tonight, but it was in the previous review, is consistent implementation by staff, right? And I think, Piper, you brought something up about that at the last meeting. And so, you know, I see that as something that can be improved.
Sure.
That we all need to be on the same page. And again, going back to the issue of safety, and I think Mr. Carlson touched on this, is I think you both did. You know, what can we do around helping kids to understand that they are safe and what they can do in order to be safe, right? That idea of being able to email or access the office or whatever it might be. Can we do a better job there? I would say yes, based on the data, right? We can certainly do that. But I don't know if you guys had anything to add to that.
Yeah, and to Dr. Chimlin's point about the second bullet, this is something where I imagine my staff must feel like I'm a broken record. So both at faculty meetings, at department chair meetings, and then when necessary, individual meetings, I would address any kind of situation where we weren't, where if I had a staff member that wasn't following the rule. I think we've had so much success this year because we have so many people that are all on the same page. And I know it's cliche and you hear it often, but when you're all rowing in the same direction, it's a lot easier to move forward, especially to this place where we're seeing such progress. So,
You did. I love it, though. Doesn't that make me happy? It only took 4.5 years.
hey now, okay, I might not be able to read a number, okay? But
next year.
and this will be something that there's always agenda items that we always have on the agenda when I'm talking to staff. And I think I would say a majority of them, they're really, really happy with the direction and the changes that they've seen in our school. So that's, for something so, for such a major change to see this kind of success, I think, I have to applaud all of the people that are working really hard so our students can have the best education possible. So my 2 cents there.
Do you have anything to add about?
Oh, sorry.
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, as far as the consistent implementation, we do have some inconsistencies. It's mostly really at the end of the day. It's like whether or not do they allow it at 2:07 at homeroom, the end of the day homeroom, 2:15 when the bell rings, or when they actually get on the bus. So right now that's our consistency issue. So we're doing great. We've had 100% staff buy-in on this, which is I was not expecting, to be honest with you, because we're in a human business dealing with humans and people don't always listen. But I think that everybody has seen the results of it. We just have to tighten up on our bell-to-bell policy. But other than that, we're doing great with that. So, like I said, any student feeling safe, they can at any time. We try to pair them up with somebody that they feel comfortable with. That's one of our goals. So, do you have anything?
I'm all set.
Questions? Next.
And so I don't know if you've heard, but there is now a ignition of this legislation at the state level. So when we had started talking about this, the legislation was in the Senate, and the Senate had moved forward a cell phone bill to the House. The House did not make any movement on it until just a couple of days ago, where Governor Healy came out with her recommendations for cell phone legislation, which seems to have been supported widely by the House. Now, because what came out of the Senate last year and what's in the House now are different, it has to go back to the Senate before anything is final. They have to come to some kind of agreement. But the legislation affects all public K-12 schools, restricting cell phone use during school hours, including breaks. So that was something I think that in the surveys we got back, that some kids were like, oh, can't we have it at lunch? Or can't we have it during passing time? Now, how this legislation will actually play out, we don't know. But it seems like that's something that they're going to be looking at. obviously exceptions for students with special needs or medical requirements. It does mandate that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education issue guidance with plans for a pilot program to test rendering devices inoperable. So that would be things like the Yonder pouches. I did recently see something that Watertown had piloted called the Doorman. So it's, and how it works, it is beyond me. But there's a credit card that the kids swipe their phone on as they enter a classroom, and it renders their apps inoperable. The phone will still work, to make a phone call, but it will not, they can't go online or anything. What I would like to say is I know that our situation has not been perfect, but what these folks have accomplished at these 3 schools in 1 year without spending an additional 5 cents to do it, I think deserves a compliment in a big way, because we know that many schools in our area spent a lot of money on the Yonder pouches, and many of them have fake phones in them, or just the cases in them, and they buy the magnets and they open the pouches. And I wonder about this Doorman, if there are other tweaks with that, right? Because even at that, if they're saying you can't use it during breaks, well, the Doorman is devised to be done in each classroom. So what happens in the halls? So I don't have a lot of information about that, but seemingly there's going to be something, but I just can't, I will tell you, I was the biggest one with anxiety about what these folks were going to face in the first month of school. I thought they were going to be running like crazy, trying to keep up with the issues with phones. And I think that speaks to our kids and our staff that didn't happen, right? There was a beginning to all of it that was a little, busier than usual, but they weren't overwhelmed. They weren't flooded with things. And we did it all with some really good planning, I think, some really good implementation, lots of great support by the kids, by the staff and the administration. And we didn't have to spend $35,000 to do it. So I had to take a moment when I see that they're testing things like this, because what you wouldn't want is for DESE to say, well, you have to do this, right? Because you've gone back from trying anything. Again, their purpose is to improve student mental health, reduce exposure to harmful content, and limit distractions. But they are hoping that this is going to be in effect this fall. Now, I've not known the legislature to move that quickly. I think, don't they go out on some 5-month break or something? So whether or not that will happen, I don't know. But what I thought was interesting is that it hadn't died, right? Because we kind of hadn't heard anything about it. So that's still in process. And so I think next steps, these folks will be coming to you at the next meeting with handbook updates, which I think is the place that this information would most naturally reside, just like our dress code and other things around things in schools. And so we'd certainly be willing to hear from anyone, things that you'd like us to be looking at. I think we've heard resounding from these folks that they are happy with how things have gone, but I don't know if there's anything you'd like to share, and certainly we could consider that over the next couple of weeks to implement into the handbooks.
Through the chair, just a few things. I just want to clarify. I think some people thought I wanted students to be allowed to use their cell phones during the day. I absolutely do not think students should be on their cell phones or have their cell phones during the day. My biggest concern and why I will be honest, 50% kids not feeling safe is not okay with me. And that's not something that I think we have enough information at this point to go forward with. I just, as Dr. Chamberlain said, you can't learn if you don't feel safe. I don't talk to a lot of high schoolers as of yet. I'm trying. I was trying to chat with someone at the baseball game yesterday, and I will continue to try to hear from what they have to say. I'm hearing from a lot of kids, if there is a school shooting, I want to be able to text my mom. And as adults, we know that school shooting is probably not happening, that it is a very rare occurrence. These kids' brains don't work like that because it's not developed enough. And I think, since kindergarten, sometimes pre-K, if they've gone to our pre-K, we have told these kids, this is what you do in the event of a school shooting. This is what you do in the event of X, Y, and Z. And to then say to them, you can't have your phone on your person, that's just what I've heard. And again, I only coach middle school. I only teach middle school CCD. So that's what I'm hearing. And that's why that's my biggest concern with having them away from them, from their person. I think they need to be off. I think they need to be away. I just can't comfortably be okay with 50% of our kids not feeling safe. And I'm the first one to roll my eyes and say, come on, the school shooting's not going to happen. Kids' brains are not there yet. And we've been telling them yearly, this is what you do in the event of a school shooting. This is what you do if an intruder gets into the school. Very important to do that. So that's just where I stand. But I do want to clarify, I don't think kids should be on their phones during the day at all. The only thing is, like, if that child who I have to get in touch with my parent, can I go to the office, text them, and then shut my phone off or email? That's fine. I mean, I know, like, my email, it pops right up. I do know some kids don't think they're allowed to email their parents during the day. So maybe that's something we should clarify with them, if they are allowed to email. But so that's where I'm standing.
In that, if I can, through the chair, when we talked about some things, ways to educate kids, right? Could we maybe do a better job about exactly that, right? To let kids know that they can email their parents during the day. And many, many do. But are there some things that we could actively do that would help to mitigate that feeling of that safety feeling? Because while I suspect there are some that are very much believe in that, in it being that real safety thing and thinking about school shooting for sure, I also have to believe that some of it is that kind of conditioned anxiety that I think we all have now. When we get someplace a half hour away and realize we left our phone on the kitchen table and we're like, oh my God, I don't have my phone, right? So there's got to be a piece of that in some of this.
Yeah.
Certainly not all of it. So I agree that, perhaps there are some things we can do to help with that understanding.
That angst, yeah. And I just don't think we have the data right now for that piece of it.
Okay.
Through the chair, I'm very inclined to support a continuation of the policy based on what the administrators are saying, because they're on the front lines. At the same time, I do understand what Dr. McCrillis is saying. And I will say that I have seen it. We've had, in where I teach, we've had a fire drill like at 2:00 where everyone just has to exit the building, and a student comes up to me hysterical, I left my phone in my locker, what am I going to do? I'm like, you are going straight home to your parents. Someone's going to steal it. I go, no, I will go get it and put it in my desk. Like, so they do have this anxiety piece towards their phone, and it's I think we all have it, I think, as Dr. Chamberlain was saying. So I am inclined to support the policy as it is right now, with some continued education onto what you can do in case of an emergency and how we will support you in contacting your parents if there is an emergency. I think if the emergency happens and here's where we end up, this is how we'll get in contact with your parents. I think that might make them feel better, knowing that there's like a method.
Or through the chair, having them figure out a
Yes.
way, right? I have my iPad. I can email them, and let's teach our parents how to have it. Like, I don't know how, but my Gmail alerts me right away. Maybe that, I think some more focus groups with kids. I think, me talking with my 7th and 8th grade basketball players isn't exactly formal, but figuring out, their thoughts on it, because the high school, some of them are saying they don't feel safe there, but they have them on their person there. So, I think we just need more info.
So I think having like a flow chart of, if there is an emergency, this is where we end up. This is how we will get in contact with your parents. Like, here are the methods. Because if there's an emergency in district and Dr. Chamberlain sends out an all call, every single person is going to get that in multiple ways. Parent Square, all call. There's so many options. So I feel like the kids knowing that, like, don't worry, you're not going to be left in the middle of the road on Route 20. You'll be fine. I think that'll ease some fears.
So, through the chair, if you don't mind, I don't want to cut you off because I know you also want to say something, but when we first did this cell phone policy, I had some reservations for the lift that they were going to do. I hoped for the best, correct? And I just went, they'll let us know. It'll be fine. We'll have to revisit it. We'll, shoot from the hip and just figure out, all right, this didn't work. Let's tweak it, whatever. And what I have heard today, what the data is showing us is that there's room for improvement, but this was a pilot, right? We just said Desi says we have to do something. What's something? Yonder pouch is $35,000. Let's not go that route. How can we do it? And the lift came from our frontline staff members. And it seems like right there, we have a very good building block, right? So moving forward, when you're talking about improvement, a do's and don'ts list, you know me and my lists, you can do this. This is what is allowed. If there is an emergency, this is what we're going to do. This is what you should not be doing. This is behavior that is not allowed, tolerated, however we put it, right? So I think we have a really good foundation because we had the kids. We listened to them, right? We had the student spotlight of the students coming in, talking about their digital footprint. And these were your students, Mr. DeLon Champion. They were like, I don't want social media anymore. I am unplugging. And for a 17-year-old, plus or minus 17-year-old, to say they're going to unplug from social media, I literally sat back and I went, okay, all right, tell me more about your feelings on this. Like, this is a very volatile little thing because you have the extremes, right? But when you can argue both sides, that's when when you come together, right?
Sure.
So, through the chair, I think that if they are ready to lift, then let's build and improve on what we have.
Like through the chair, I was just thinking one of my kids they must have an assignment in one of their classes to email me. Do that day one, 6th grade. This is how you email your parents if you need to get in contact.
Right.
Something.
I mean, the sky for improvement through the chair, is going to be wonderful because the kids are going to tell us. They're going to be able to say, hey, this is working, this isn't working, right? I mean, the locker time, it's already there. We're going to improve on that. We're going to find a way. It's many pieces. How do we streamline it? It's going to be great.
It's the skinny lockers at the
What I would say, Dr. McCrillis, is first I would welcome any conversation. I do think we learned an awful lot from our, I don't know how to label this, our gas odor day, as far as like the impact on the community, the amount of communication that came out between Dr. Chamberlain and myself to the community, how our kids responded and reacted. And I would be happy to have that conversation with members of the team because I do think we learned an awful lot. I do think this was, as much as maybe as an adult, there might be some people that don't think this is like a monumental lift this year. I do look at it as in the lens of like a 15 or 16-year-old. Or like my daughter told me, like who's 18, 19, that I was crazy even thinking of something like this. And she was not happy with me.
I was with her on that. I was, oh my, you know what? We're going to let the professionals handle it.
With any rule change and don't, I mean, the kids' safety, my feelings for the kids, first and foremost, and I want them to feel good about learning. But I do think the whole thought of like something that they've had where they could have at any point in time and somebody saying, now you can't have that. I think for some kids, they look at it as like, wow, I think they look at it like, what does safety mean? And maybe some of those focus groups to listen to some of the kids might prove beneficial. But I can absolutely say that we do our very best to keep our kids safe.
And I agree. I think kids are safe. I think it's the feeling of not being safe, which is, maybe where the focus groups can come into effect to try to figure that out.
Sure.
So I don't think we're looking for a vote. We're not voting on anything, but I mean, it seems like we should go forward with the student handbooks, with the policy the way it is, assuming that you will focus more on the focus groups and reassuring kids that they're safe and what they can do in an emergency and things like that.
Each year before we prepare for this, tough night for Dan tonight, I'm sorry. But each year, we're always, and I had this conversation with Dr. Chamberlain today, we're always revising, reflecting, re-looking at things. Just because something is in place, I mean, things change. Our communities change. Our students change. I think as Mr. Carlson mentioned, there might be something that you put in place that you think is a good idea, and it might be a great idea, but it might just not fit. So, that's something that always takes place with everything that we have in the handbook, because you don't just put a rule in to put a rule in. You put a rule in because you think it's something that the kids can actually learn from and improve upon and be better for it in the end. We will certainly follow the guidance from the school committee with this.
And I think through the chair, when we said, right, where can we improve, right? The middle schools continue to look at the locker issue, right? And I think we'll continue to do so. That idea of consistent implementation for me is really important, right? Kids have to know that everybody's rowing in the same direction. And then I think just that takes away some anxiety for them, right? If they know that the expectations from one place to another are the same, that helps kids. I think it helps everyone, right? When you know what to expect related to this. And then likewise, that idea around making sure we understand if kids don't feel safe, why don't they feel safe? Is it the separation from the phone? Is it that they're very obsessed with the idea that something really bad is going to happen and they have to reach their family? What is it? And once that's determined, as you said, I think more information is needed. Then I think you can take some steps to address that.
Meg, are you comfortable with that?
I have to think, to be honest, I have to think about it a little bit more, just honestly because of the safety issue with not having their phones. If it truly is that these kids are only going to feel safe if it's on their person off, then, you know.
Yeah, I'm moving on to greener pastures, but my look at it is that once you let that genie out of the bottle, it's going to be really hard to put it back in at the middle school if you let them hold their phones on them. I mean, I feel like all of the work that you did all year to get to this point would just kind of be washed away. It would be, I don't know. And I think that having backpacks is not an option. It sounds like it's more of a safety issue there too. It's, bringing back backpacks in the classroom.
Through the chair, just someone who had started her teaching career when there were no cell phones for students and whatnot, and, moving forward to today, I just feel like part of this, and I think we need to dig into that piece about why don't they feel safe. I think some of that has got to lend to the world we live in today, that kids are also exposed to much more and see what is happening in different places and things and the terrible things that happen. So cell phone or not, I think it's just the world we live in today is scarier than 20 years ago.
Well, I mean, I always say, the scariest thing I had to deal with was the bus evacuation, and that was only because I was the tallest one in the class, so I was the one who had to get out of the back, and all the kids jump off of my shoulders, which was awful. But now these kids are doing Alice training and Alice drills, and that's why I really have to think about this a lot, because I don't want to make these thoughts when I never had to go through it myself. I've never had to go through an Alice training.
Not once.
Not as a student. So I just don't think I have that knowledge where kindergartners are doing this. What is that doing to their psyche? Never mind the fact that you're right, all over the nose, everything. It's just they're seeing a lot more, and I just want to make sure we're doing right by them.
Yeah. And just through the chair, I think from a teacher perspective, I will be honest with you, if I told my students they could have their phone, but they had to be off and away, I would spend more time dealing with put your phone away, turn it off. Put your phone away, turn it off. I mean, I have kids that can't even handle having Jolly Ranchers.
Right, but I don't
20
think
of them in their mouth.
I don't like the idea of making 50% of kids anxious over disciplinary things where it's not 50% of the kids who would be quote unquote breaking the rules. I think we have to give a little bit of substance to the kids who don't break the rules, who put it off in a way from day one. And I think we have a lot of those kids. I'm not all. But as you know, I hate the idea of everybody because of a select few. And I don't know, I'm sure you're in a classroom. It's not like every single kid's like, okay, Miss Rayfield, whatever you say. There's some, but they're not all.
Yep. But it does create more of a heavy lift for the classroom teacher, which is what we're trying to kind of get away from. So I don't know. I see your point. I just also feel that we have to respect the kids, but we also have to respect the staff members who are on the front lines doing a lot of the heavy work.
with it. So
I just wonder if there's like a way to do both, and I just don't know.
Well, I think the focus groups, and I mean, it sounds like, cliche or whatever, but I don't know. I think really, making that a huge focus from the start of the next school year, like day one, and letting these kids know that they're not cut off from civilization. They can email their families and get a hold of their parents. And if you have to send home a instruction sheet on how parents can get notified that they have an email, or something like that, little things like that. I mean, at least try to exhaust every effort to make them better before we go open the genie bottle back up.
And I'd be okay with that if we were able to do focus groups and say, okay, so if you're able to email your parents, because I know, I've heard kids say, I've been told that they're going to audit if we email our parents. So they could have heard that rumor through other kids too. You never know. But making that clear to them, maybe that will, I'm much more, if a kid says, I don't feel safe because I can't text my TikTok friend or whatever, that's different than school. Like if I could know the difference, I'd feel much more comfortable.
And through the chair, I have heard that from my own child. When she first started 6th grade, I was told, if I email my parents, they're going to take my iPad away. And I'm like, that is not true.
Yeah.
I said, I said, just email me. And then she goes, they're going to take it away. I go, no, they're not going to take it away. How are they going to know? She's like, the tech guy. I'm like, he's not sitting there watching your email. No,
I heard the same thing. They're going to audit. They audit your emails.
I was like, he's not watching the 900 emails going in and out of the district to see if use email with your mom.
Like 10,000.
For sure, but he's in the back room the whole time. Yeah, he's like, wait a second. So I said to her, I'm like, and then she realized like, they're not going to take my iPad away. So I have heard that. I don't know if
it could be a rumor at
it
lunch.
could be a rumor. It could be someone saying like, you can't email your parents. Who knows? But like, I have heard it. So I do understand where Megan's coming.
All right. So, I mean, I think we should move forward. I think we've exhausted this and, move forward with your handbooks and maybe for the start of the school year, have a plan in place of how we're going to attack this the feeling of safety issue.
Okay.
All right.
We can do that.
It's your homework. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you very
and
much.
you really, it's amazing that we got this off the ground and it was free. Yeah, without yonder pouches. And the doorman sounds really expensive, but cool, definitely.
Cool, though,
yeah. If the state wants to pay for it, that would be great.
Like that a lot.
Yeah.
Right. This could all be null and void. It'll be like the masks. We're going to vote the masks.
Oh my gosh, I
It's gonna
know,
come in.
right?
This is what we're
Yeah.
doing.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Sorry to be a pain.
Hey,
Dan?
Actually, Dan and Matt, we're doing school choice next. Did you want to stay for that just in case?
Did you want to?
That'll be.
Come on. Hi, Susan. Thank you.
You should be happy I didn't make you come to 3 meetings.
Oh, yeah, those are.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So in your package, you're going to find enrollment information related to the determination of the number of school choice slots that may be approved for the 26-27 school year. So hopefully I can explain this pretty clearly. But as you know, for any school choice student, if they're currently with us, they remain with us. If they have a sibling who applies, the sibling has to be accepted. So that's part of this. So if we just look at grade 6, so I can kind of explain the columns. The first one is our current enrollment. The next column is our anticipated enrollment for next year. So that's the 5th graders coming up to 6th grade. Currently, we have 4 school choice students in 6th grade. They're going to move up to grade 7, right? So you see that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they move up to grade 7. And then siblings of current choice students that have applied, that must be accepted, and that's 3 of them. So our proposal for grade 6 is to accept 6 students. Now, you'll see in the far right column, we had 8 applicants. We have 8 applicants for 6th grade. Does that make sense? And so I met with Mr. Carlson and Mr. DeLongchamp, looking at it, overall enrollment, their knowledge of the building and class sizes and all of that. We worked together to determine where we think it's appropriate to accept kids in grades 6 through 12. And so throughout that meeting, looking at a total of six, proposed to have, except 6 at grade 6, which would give us a total of 9 school choice students at grade 6. We have 1 sibling in grade 8 that has applied, so we would have to accept that 1 sibling because they have someone who's already a school choice student. In 9th grade, that gets a little confusing. Our actual enrollment is 196. You'll see in that funky little column, but we typically lose about 50 to Bay Path.
Okay.
So that's why the anticipated enrollment is around that one. It drops dramatically. So we are looking at potentially accepting 15 students in 9th grade. That is historically the grade where we accept the most. Kids want to start a high school someplace else, and that's when we lose the ones to Bay Path. So 15 there, 1 in 10th grade for a total of 16. So a total of 7 at Auburn Middle and 16 at the high school. And so ultimately, if you put that together with the students we already have, we would have a total of 88 school choice students for next school year.
Okay. Any questions or concerns, comments?
Through the chair, so the 66 people that applied,
correct,
we would only be accepting 16 of the 66.
No, we would be accepting 23. So 16 at the high school and 7 at the middle school.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
School choice has worked well for us. The students that have come to us in large part have contributed to our community. But we also want to tread that line carefully, right? So even though there are more students there that we could accept, we want to be cautious about not going too heavy, right? And overwhelming our enrollment. So again, I rely on the 2 of them to kind of help with that decision. They know their buildings best. And so in collaboration of them, that's where we landed for 26, 27.
Through the chair, is there a reason why we don't accept anyone in 11th and 12th grade, or is it just size?
Well, normally it's size. So if you'll see, we're at 180 and 185 already for enrollment. So that's pretty good. So we normally don't. It tends to be unusual a little bit. Like it's an unusual year to have 10 applicants for junior year. But it just seems like a more natural progression if they kind of start at freshman or sometimes sophomore year, and likewise at 6th grade.
Okay, just curious.
All right.
And I am going to say that I don't know why our numbers are wrong here, but
Yeah.
in this recommended motion, it should be 7 at the middle school and 16 at the high school.
All right. You got that for the motion? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve 7 school choice slots at AMS and 16 school choice slots at AHS as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the policy subcommittee. That would be Sam and Steph. Turn it over to you guys.
So we are on our 3rd read for AC, non-discrimination, ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex, and FFA memorials. There have been no changes to AC, ACA, or FFA since last meeting, so.
All right. Do we have any questions or concerns about the 3rd read? All right. Can I get a motion to approve those, please?
Make a motion to approve the updates and changes made to policy AC, ACA, and FFA.
Okay, so I'm bringing.
Need a second. Hold on.
Oh, I will second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Through the chair, can I? Because I'm on the subcommittee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
random
It's a
thought.
good question, but.
Good. Yes, I second.
Yeah.
So I'm also bringing forward to you today the next round of policies. These are EEAA, which is eligible bus riders. And you can see the changes in red and the changes crossed out. And I want to just thank Mandy, Beth, and Jen for dealing with the emails back and forth, trying to fix these. There's EEBA, which is the Auburn Public Schools multi-function school activity vehicle use policy. We don't have one vehicle, we have multiple vehicles, so we just fixed that. And then this is just updating some of the stuff. Actually, EEBA is a very, very, very minor changes. There's just like how to check the vehicle. We changed student to students. So that's very minor changes. And then EBC has some, with the emergency plans, this is some larger changes based on MASC. And there's EDC, which is a minor change to wording as well. And then finally EDC 1, which is the authorized use of district-owned vehicle. And this one did need some more substantial changes based on old language. Like we don't watch a Drive Safe DVD anymore. So we had to make those larger changes. So that's for first read. So any questions on those?
Oh,
you have any
you guys
questions?
can go.
Yeah, you
I'm
guys can
sorry.
go.
I got so used to you being here. You guys- I'm sorry.
You can stay.
Thank you again.
Stay. It's really
Thank
fun.
you.
Have a good night. Do we have any questions or discussion for Sam concerning these policies? I think they were good. All right.
And then I, just in thinking about like the policies that are coming up and when Steph and I meet on the policy subcommittee, we're finding that a lot of them are like really minor language changes, like changing school district to school system, changing parents to parents and guardians, changing pronouns instead of the superintendent consistently being a he or a she, depending on the policy written at the time. We're asking to have permission of the board to change pronouns and policies for consistency, like changing he, him, and she, her to they, them, without bringing each policy along forward for like minor grammar and wording changes. So what I have been working on is as I go through a policy, I will provide every meeting, whatever we work on, like any changes we make. So if there's, for example, a lot of them change MASC to MASC Review 2022. Like that's the only change on the policy. So I put together a recommended motion to just let us make minor wording changes, moving wordings around, adding S's to things. That's stuff we don't have to bring forward every single policy. Yeah. And then on the bottom, it would say like reviewed and updated. It wouldn't say first read, second read, third read. It would just say reviewed and updated and the date. That way we can distinguish, like we never did a third read or first, second, third, but there was no major changes.
Are we okay with that? Doing it that way? Well, it'd be fine, but yeah.
Through the chair, it seemed like every section that we've gone through, there's like the ones that we brought forward today, there are major MASC changes, and ours wasn't reviewed since like 2011.
Yeah.
So we have to bring the language up to code, up to the standard, right? So those we absolutely have to bring to you for review and whatever. But then in like, let's say, section A, there's 55 policies. Two,
he, she, and them.
Yeah, there's 2 that we have to bring to you with substantial changes, and everything else is we have to change the review date.
Yeah.
He, she is they, parent and guardian,
Yeah.
system, not district. It is so small, and I was like, well, we have to do it, so we email Mandy. I mean,
so like, we've been
so
working through different sections of policy, and
Yeah.
I've only gotten through half of B right now, but I'm at like 24 policies, and I only need to bring you 3.
Right.
Instead of bringing you all 24, but all 24 have like really tiny, weird changes. Like one said the superintendent, and ours said superintendent, so it was grammatically incorrect. So adding a the doesn't change the language. So, anything that I'm really concerned about, like there was one policy I was looking at where I've changed the paragraphs around. I'm absolutely 100% bringing that forward because I don't feel comfortable changing paragraphs around. That's too big of a change for me. But he, she, they, them.
Yeah, I think minor things, that's totally fine, use your judgment. But I would, and Beth had mentioned this in our meeting prior to this, was I would let these run its course before introducing new ones. So
yeah.
So instead of having these 2 different sections where we did a third read, I would just go with these first reads and ride it out through the end. That's just my personal, I mean, it just seems like it could get confusing down the road if you've got a staircase of things that need to be
No, see, I was
approved
never
that-
gonna. The thing was, is I knew once we hit third read, then I could introduce like the new set. But I'll wait until the third read's
Yeah, it
done.
might just so people have more time to digest it.
No, that's perfectly fine. It just there weren't very many on that first read, so there was only 3. But I feel like we're going to be bringing more forward, so I don't mind waiting. And then I have I have a plan to have like a report that I can say like, here are the policies that we updated, here's what we changed, and that way you guys are aware of everything.
There's a tracking for that.
Yeah.
So there'll be
Yeah, I can share with you guys next meeting the tracking document that we're going to use, and then that way you can see like I literally take the things that I change and like highlight and put it right in there so you can see exactly where it is.
Okay.
And I still have it redlined and crossed out. So until we bring it forward to you guys, I'm not going to take out red lines and cross outs. I'll just be like, if you want to see it, here it is. And then once we pass by that in the meeting, then I'll take out the red lines and cross outs so that everyone can see what it looks like.
All right.
Through the chair, I just needed one small clarification. So on the third read where we're recommending an approval, you don't want us to then hit you with the next section. You want us to bring it to the next meeting.
Well, I mean, I think like you've introduced these ones, so I would just the next meeting stick with these ones.
Oh yeah, no, we're not.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
And don't introduce.
I'm just saying,
No.
like at the third read is when we're going to bring the next.
Yes.
batch.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what I meant. Like at the third
Yeah.
read, I'll bring forward
Okay.
the next set for a first read, just so we're not confusing. Yeah, and that would be
And
that would
Meg,
be
that would be
confusing
your
for me
call too. So I mean, if
that's fine with me.
Yeah, that would be way too confusing for me because I'm trying to remember like what I did. I have like notes everywhere.
That's perfect. I think that's great.
All right, so why don't we get a? Oh no, do we need to?
You need a
Yes, we need a motion to approve those policies.
I'll make a motion to grant the policy subcommittee authority to make substantive editorial revisions to district policies for consistency and clarity. These revisions include, but are not limited to, updating pronouns to gender-neutral language, standardizing terminology, and making minor grammar and wording corrections. These changes may be made without bringing each individual policy forward for separate approval, provided no substantial policy meaning is altered. The policy subcommittee will provide monthly updates to school committees summarizing these revisions made.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and it's a vote. Mine is not updated. That's what I'm like. Where is she getting this verbiage? This is amazing. You know, it's
I just thought of it.
I know, you're so smart. Oh, my word. I'm like, she's brilliant. Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Okay, it is a vote. All right, we'll move on to, there's no teaching and learning report tonight. No PowerPoints. So, Mrs. Stanek, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so I'm going to provide the Auburn Middle School student activity update on the ongoing work. So in front of you is the sub-account listing. Those in gray have already come through the school committee at the last meeting. And today I'll talk about the ones in white that we have met with all of the student activity sub-accounts for Auburn Middle School. And all of the balances have been verified with the club advisors, the grade level representatives, as well as the student activity treasurer at the middle school, as well as Mr. Carlson, the principal. So the first one that we can review is 6th grade. So it has a verified balance of $690.37. And as discussed at the last one, the 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade teams used to have names, and so it does make it a little bit confusing, so just stop me and ask any questions. So it started with the Sharks team, which was the former Pearls team. Again, the beginning balance of $289.06 was not verified prior to 2019 per the auditor. And so the true balance to carry forward was $289.06. Now, the other half was the Stingray, which was the former Sapphire team, and their beginning balance was $213.99, 99 cents, which was not verified prior to 2019. Now, here is the Sharks. So we carried forward from the first page the $289.06, and then there was a prior business office adjustment. There was a carry forward error when I was doing the formulas for this, and I did remove the prior business office adjustment as there was no backup for that. So the true balance stays at that $289.06 for the Sharks team. Now we had the Stingray team, so this was part 2. They had $213.99. Again, there was a carry forward error. I did remove that prior business office adjustment and stays at that true balance of $213.99.
So there was no evidence of that.
There was no evidence of that prior business office adjustment, and it did not show in our accounting system. So now in the 22-23 school year, the Sharks and Stingrays are combined. Those were their ending balance. So putting together the 6th grade team for one combined team, the true balance of $503.05. We move to the 2003-2004 school year. All of the transactions are accounted for through our accounting system. There is no variances. The true balance is $285.65. Last school year, there is no variances. There was one adjustment that's highlighted in yellow. An adjustment to the deposits was, in fact, a bounced check. So that was taken into account. There were no variances. So at the end of FY25, the true balance for the 6th grade team was $690.37. And that was agreed upon by the 6th grade team. Any questions? All right, then we move on to the 7th grade, and this too has a verified balance. And again, this is those split teams. So at the beginning, we'll have the split teams, and then they will get combined. So we start with the former Emerald team, which became Lemurs. The balance not verified prior to 2019 was $130.11. And we've got the Polar Bears that were the former Ruby. They had a $60 balance. Again, not verified prior to 2019. $60 is the true balance. They stay split here. So we're looking at the first balance of $130.11. So there was a prior business office adjustment that was in fact verified. So then there was an AA transportation withdrawal that was not in our accounting system, so that was put back into their account. And then as we look in, it's highlighted in July here, they had done this move to the next school year. So June 30th is when the fiscal year closes, and they had put July here, but then they said, nope, that needs to be moved to the next school year. So that was done by the prior business office. The total variance here was for $1,004.84, which puts their true balance at $351.38 for part 1 of 7th grade. Part 2 of 7th grade, when I was working on the Polar Bears, they had started with the $60. There were formula errors that have been fixed in my audit. And then again, there was this AA transportation of $1,022.76, which was not in the Munis system. So that should not have been charged to their grade level. The other thing was there was this deposit at the end that should have been given to Phoenix. And so that was put back into the Phoenix, and the total variance is $194.76. So part 2's true balance was $417.27.
And who's the Phoenix again?
The other team.
Phoenix is the other team.
7th grade.
It says
7th grade, sorry, 7th grade team.
7th grade team.
They were the
starts
Lemurs
off
and the
with-
Phoenix.
Yeah, it says Polar Bears and Lemurs.
So Phoenix is 6th grade. right? Let me just go back. Let me tell you when this.
It's not, it's a different team.
For me, Vance and Vance.
Was what, 8th?
We need a flow chart.
Well, let me tell you, this
Ridiculous.
was extremely, and this is why there were so many problems and errors. So Phoenix is another, one of the teams. It had to be 8th grade.
Yeah, 8th grade.
So it was 8th
Which
grade.
we've already looked at.
So, which we had looked at last time.
That already went into last
Okay, so
week.
that's all,
Yes.
okay.
That's been already accounted for, so
I
forgive me, I
literally
should have
rem-
written
Yeah, that's okay.
8th grade there in the flow chart.
I remember the 828, and I was just like, this is not Phoenix.
No.
Heard it though. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Sorry. Continue.
All right, so now, when we come to the 2022-2023 school year, we now combine the ending balances for the two parts, and we go through the errors. When they did a deposit amount, those, in there, you can see the highlights that they were missing deposits of $216 and $265. There were deposits made in our accounting system to the, let me just make sure I'm saying the right one, 7th grade class, and so those have been credited to their class. There was, again, they would make the adjustment to subtract when there was a deposit difference. That $12.96 was really a $12.60 deposit, but they noted it differently. So it did wash out, but I just needed to note that because my deposit in my accounting system says $1,260, not $1,296. There's that $36 difference. So the total variance gave them $481 in missing deposits. So at the end of this year, their true balance was $1,204.60. We carry that forward to the 23-24 school year.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
yep.
Hold on. Just one. I'm so sorry. Through the
Don't
chair.
apologize.
So the missing deposits is the system that you were working on. It said that you had a deposit of 216 and 265, but there's no receipts on it. Is that correct?
I have the receipts in my office for that. They didn't note it on the spreadsheet.
Okay. So this is plus.
So
Got
that's
it?
a plus.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a plus to them.
That's why I just. Sorry. I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure.
Yep. All right, so 23-24, we carry that true balance over for the beginning balance of $1,204.60. All of the transactions on the spreadsheet are accounted for in the accounting system. The true balance at the end of the year is $1,617.45. In the 24-25 school year, all of the transactions are accounted for, and the true balance, $1,642.45 for the 7th grade.
Through the chair, does this money then move up to 8th grade with them, or no? Stays with the 7th grade?
The, in the student's activity account, it will be moving up. It is supposed to be moving up. It hadn't in the past. They had left it for the next class, but it will be moving with the students moving forward.
Because it just looks like they're collecting too much. Like, right, should we be having that much balance carry over from with the 7th graders? Does that make sense? Like,
Well, so, but once they get to 8th grade and then so the expenses increase, right, with some of the trips that they go on. But what we have spoken with each of the groups that have had a significant amount of money is that student activities is not a savings account.
yeah.
Right? It's intended to be a place where you fundraise, you bring money in for a purpose, and the money goes out. Now, obviously, it's not going to be penny for penny all the time.
Yeah.
So you'll have some left over sometimes, or something might, you have a snowstorm and you can't go and whatever. So there will be those cases, but we have spoken to them about that.
It should follow the kids. So they
It
might
should
go up
follow
to high
the
school with
kids
like a
and be as
$600
much of an in and out as possible, right? Because ultimately, if it follows, it's intended for the kids who raise the money.
Yeah.
That's why it should follow them. And ultimately, what will happen is, we hope, is that if there is money that follows them, then what they have to come up with later on in their career will be less. Right?
Yeah.
Because then they have something to rely on.
Chair, 8th grade uses a lot more money towards field trips.
Yeah, and
so
then
they
once you
can
get into
follow
the high
that.
school, likewise,
Yeah.
right? Those
Yeah.
classes use more, so.
No, that's what I meant. Like, that's what I was meaning, is
Yeah.
that like this money is 7th grade. Like, it should stick with them
Correct.
because,
That grade
if I pay $40 for a field trip and they only need 20, then why am I,
Yeah.
So, Makes sense.
And I don't know, I know that there aren't advisors that are trying to make a profit on
No, I
kids
know.
to save it. But there are a lot of mitigating issues that cause
yeah.
there then to be money in the account, so.
So you're saying the 8th grade funds will go to 9th grade then?
Correct.
Okay, because I know that was never done in the past. I don't
It
think.
was not prior to my taking over as the business manager, but in my trainings and everything, that is what needs to be happening moving forward. And we've updated the policy to ensure that that is the case.
Kind of nice. They get to see it as they go on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so the next is the Audubon Middle School drama, and this was verified with our fine arts director, Virginia Bailey, as well as a union representative, because she does support that as the fine arts director. So in the balance that was verified was $13,575.44. Again, the very first balance was $11,467.18. There was a carry forward error that has been corrected on these sheets. That was not verified prior to 2019. There were no transactions in that school year. Taking that ending balance to the beginning balance, and the prior business office had made an adjustment on the sheets, but not within the accounting system, so that was then returned, and so they have a true balance still staying at the $11,467.18. In the next school year, in the 22-23 school year, there was adjustments for miscellaneous expenses not recorded in the previous years. Now, this amount would be, and we've talked about before, some of those POs that came in. So for instance, you order something, you put in a requisition, a PO for $25, but when the invoice comes in, it might have been for $22. And those adjustments were not then reflected on the spreadsheets. So the prior business office did make those adjustments. I cannot verify the complete amount of that, but in discussing that with the fine arts director, she did agree that those adjustments needed to be made. So the true balance here would be $9,833.33. Moving into the 23-24 school year, all of the transactions but one, this particular reimbursement was not submitted and not paid out, so that $367.50 is returned to the students for a true balance at $14,707.95. Last school year, there were a few things. Masterman's t-shirts that did not go through student activities here. The $567.79 was returned to the account. There was DVDs for the play that was missed on the spreadsheet for $500 and a reimbursement to the fine arts director for $14.75. The total variance was $53.04 for an ending balance that was verified for $13,575.44.
Sorry, I have a question going back a page.
Yes.
It says on May 16th, 2024, there was a charge for a withdrawal for high school musical costumes. Should that be coming out of the middle school?
So if they are used for both, so sometimes they are able to build a set for the high school and then they can change, and then they're doing that this year. They built the set for, forgive me, Addams Family. And then they're going to
They're doing Shrek.
change that and make it, I think it's Frozen.
Oh, Frozen.
They're going to be able to use the
The background part of it, like the background
Yes.
construction of it, they can reuse it. So then that money can be used out of either account.
And they can do
Okay.
that as well for
costumes.
costumes that they're able
Kind
to
of basic
share.
things that they can share.
Yeah. All right, as long as both schools know that that's what's happening and they're in agreement, then.
Absolutely.
Well, and in large part, it still is.
It's Ginny, that's true, yeah, she's kind of, yeah.
She just has to
it's her
agree with
rodeo.
herself.
Right,
Yeah.
and we did discuss the balance here. So, she's noted that the middle school tends to have more of an audience and more people are coming to see those, and they're giving greater free will donation. So we did talk about how to offset that, because that is a big balance, but I will tell you, these shows take a lot of the expenses for the shows, and of course, building the sets now, everything has increased in cost. So this was at the end of last year. All right, so then we go to Auburn Middle School Ski Club. And this verified balance is actually in the negative, and I will go through that with you. Again, starting with $961.50, not verified prior to 2019, no expenses in that year. Again, there were formula errors found and corrected in here, and so we had fixed this. I went through and verified all of the other withdrawals and deposits. This particular one that's highlighted, it says a double payment of $115. These are prior business office notes. They had made the note in the description, but again, that was not in the accounting system, so that is not accounted for here. So there was no variance here. The true balance to end this year was $2,034.50.
So how is that going to be rectified? Or is it just not? It's just going to be, we're out 115.
It actually isn't there. It's not even noted in the withdrawal or in the deposit.
It was just a spreadsheet error note.
It was a note that they said somebody still needed to be refunded, and it was never done. So that means somebody did not follow through with their paperwork to get that refund.
Okay. Keep it. Got it.
So then the 22-23 school year, there was a carry forward error that has been corrected. And again, there was a return check, but they noted it differently. No variances this year. Their true balance is $144.50. This year gets a bit tricky. In 23-24, there were many duplicate entries that needed to be adjusted, and they are highlighted in yellow. The very first one, what ended up happening when they carried these spreadsheets forward for this school year, they left in the prior years.
So if you look at the year before, all of those entries on the year before are there again.
Gotcha. Okay. So because it's supposed to be July 1st to June 30th of that
Same
school
dates.
year.
Through the chair, who was copying this? The business office at the time, or the teachers?
The secretary, the treasurer, who's typically the secretary at the school.
All right.
Now it is my office that makes sure the spreadsheets are ready to start the school year.
Got it.
Okay, good. Because
Make sure that
this is like a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So though all that highlighted in yellow has been done in the prior school year.
Okay.
However, there was one duplicate entry that it's in their favor for $1,890. But this true balance, because of the way this was done and they mixed up multiple school years, their true balance is negative $103.50 to finish this school year.
Okay.
We start last year with that. And so, because of the mix-up, they started in the whole $103.50. They had lumped all of their AA transportation together, so I needed to make sure those invoices actually matched up. They were a penny off. We have let everybody know that they need to put them in as each separate entries. We can't group things like that. And unfortunately, there were formula errors in the year before, so their true balance is negative $2,508.49.
As of right now.
Well, as of June 30th of 25, of FY 25.
That's been the cutoff date for all of these.
Yep. Okay.
So they just had ski club. So what did they fulfill the debt before these kids could ski, or like what?
They wouldn't have, because this was still ongoing before they started ski club. So what will happen is, as we go through and I show you the ending, we're going to be able to bring them to zero. Because of errors of the past.
Okay. And I know we've talked about this before, but this should be like a in and out thing. Like it should.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Be self-balancing. The money goes in, the money comes out. It's back to even, and no balance carryover.
Yes. So then there were a few accounts that were, it's the fundraiser sub-account and a miscellaneous sub-account that middle school had. So this fundraiser account for this year, again, $792.71 was not verified prior to 2019. There are no transactions that happened here. Then we move forward to the next year. This is the FY20 ending balance. There was no activity in FY21. They had some other notes, but it stays a true balance. Again, in the next year, no activity, true balance $792.71. The next school year, the 23-24, as well as the 24-25. This was reviewed with Mr. Carlson and the student activity treasurer.
What does summer reading and environmental mean?
That is, if you take those two together, it
Right.
equals, to be honest, that is prior to me. This is prior to my business office. I don't.
I mean, it equals the balance.
But I think Mr. Carlson indicates that this is not an active sub-account.
This is not an active sub-account.
This is not active
Okay.
at this point. There are no advisors.
No.
Or an advisor that can speak to this.
So
So it would have been someone that was here several years ago that would have started this, maybe going back to 1920 or prior to that. So it's just been sitting in the spreadsheet, this amount.
So
This would be one of those amounts that we would absorb.
Okay.
For the negative.
And help. Yep.
Through the chair, that's what was my next question. So this is one of those. Okay.
Yep, and the miscellaneous as well. So the miscellaneous sub-account began with $713.62. Again, that's not verified. There was a prior business office adjustment, so their true balance was $502.73. Again, the next year, no, in the FY21, no transactions. We go to the 21-22 school year, and then there were some transactions. One of those was reimbursed in the prior fiscal year. The next one was unaccounted in the prior fiscal year, even though it should have been. And then the prior business office adjustment. So the variance was $25.74, bringing the true balance to $283.97. FY23, no transactions. FY24, no transactions. And again in 25. So the true balance is $283.97. So this will bring us to the Auburn Middle School summary. I want to call your attention to the savings balance. So this was as of June 30th. The savings balance had $14,560.71, and the checking account balance was $7,070.46, for a total balance of $21,631.17. But at that time, the Auburn Middle School spreadsheets, the first column, totaled $20,696.37. Now, as we did the audit adjustments, there was a variance of $4,888.75, largely due to the interest that was not accredited in the spreadsheets. Okay, and you can see there that there was $6,262.33 that they had not recorded in the spreadsheets for the interest. So in the third column, you see the audit true balance, which is what has been verified with all of the advisors. The interest is verified with the bank statements. So based on the audit, the true balance would be $25,585.12. Well, we need to make sure that is the same figure as what is actually in the bank. So there is a difference of $3,953.95. To bring that down, if we use the inactive clubs that you can see at the bottom, of the inactive clubs that you had voted on before for $234.08, the ones I've brought forward, again, the miscellaneous and fundraisers came forward today. Library had come forward last time. So the grand total of the miscellaneous inactive clubs would be $1,645.24. And to make up the final difference, we would use the interest $2,308.71. So that what is in the savings and checking account and what is noted in the spreadsheets would be in balance for $21,631.17 for June 30th of the end of FY25. And you can see my recommendation as to what the balances would be. And there you can see as far as the one that was concerning was Ski Club. And we would bring Ski Club in balance to be at zero.
Through the chair, what normally happens with that interest?
The interest stays there and its school committee gets to vote on what is used. Typically that is used to pay for the external audits that happen. The interest is also used to pay for the check orders, the deposit orders for the checking account. And in this case, we've asked for the interest to be used to bring those accounts in order. So the interest is there to pay for those, and depending on what the audit is, it can be, I don't know what, it was like $4,000 for the audit last time, the external audit.
Do we know how much interest we still have in there, or are we depleting it?
We're not depleting it. As you can see, my recommendation, the balance of the interest would go to $2,777.21 so that we can bring everything. And this was as of June 30th.
I don't see that number. Can you?
The top line.
The very top line is
got
the
it.
interest. If
Got
you
it.
follow that
Okay.
across,
Yeah,
the true balance of interest in our accounting system and in the bank, $7,594.41.
I got it. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Any questions?
No.
So I would need a vote to approve the audit adjustments for Auburn Middle School.
Make a motion to approve the audit adjustments to the Auburn Middle School student activity sub-accounts as presented by the business manager.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nope.
No, that's not how I'm going to run this meeting. After you're done, I will go back to citizens' comments and you can speak for your 3 minutes if you wish.
The next, I've provided you with a year-to-date budget report for the FY26 school year dated March 25th, 2026 for your review. I would just like to note that on the very last page, on page 20, if you flip to the very last page, this kind of gives you the overview. And the first is the original appropriation, the revised budget, what we have expended year-to-date. The encumbrances are the bills that we know of. For instance, those things in the budget, transportation, tuition, and all of those things. And that the available budget, although there may be individual lines that look like they are in the red, but what we still have available at the budget as of March 25th was $2,409,590.06. So we are still in good shape at this point.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
And then the last piece I have is I've provided you a listing of budget transfers dated April 8th, 2026, between the same series and between different series for which I'm seeking your approval. And this is to bring the negative individual lines in the budget to balance. And I would need your approval. Many of these transfers are due to increased costs, to cover the costs of substitutes, or to cover contractual obligations.
And if I can just, Madam, through the chair, the previous business manager did these every
meeting.
Every meeting. Part of what Mrs. Stanek is doing is trying to lump these things in a more coordinated way. And I think her intent next year is to move forward to like really structured quarterly quarterly report so that you know what to expect each time and that everything isn't given out each time, right? It's done in a more organized way. So this may seem like a new list because it hasn't been presented this way.
It's been presented this way before, but it's been done every single meeting.
Yeah.
And what happens is the timing to do that is very cumbersome. It is policy and procedure to do quarterly reports as opposed to every 2 weeks.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the list of transfers dated April 8th, 2026 as presented by the business manager.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's approved. Thank you. All right, we will go back and revisit citizens' comments. Per school committee policy BEDH, speakers will be allowed up to 3 minutes to present their material and must begin their comments by stating their name and town precinct. The public comment section shall not exceed 15 minutes, and all speakers are encouraged to present their comments in a respectful manner. Topics for discussion should be limited to those items within the school committee's scope of authority, review and approval of the school district budget, the performance of the superintendent, and the policies of the district.
Good evening. My name is Eric Richards. I'm from Precinct 4, I believe. And I'm here to speak to you tonight on a number of topics. I'm glad to see Mr. Scargas is here. I'm disappointed that he wasn't extended a seat at the table or an invitation prior to tonight. One would think as soon as his contract was signed, he'd have been offered a seat at the table or at least the opportunity to participate. I'm glad he's here.
It's
Next.
Dr. Skaza, just so you know. Not
Pardon me.
Sorry.
Dr. Skaza. We haven't been formally introduced, so.
Thank you.
And plus, I'm old. Maybe I'm a little
Continue.
confused. This department has approximately $34 million this year, just shy, 100,000 in budget. You are the single biggest piece. You're about 48% of the town's total budget. And each year that number increases through a variety of factors. No issue with that. But what we have since at least November is a finance department in crisis. Everything described here tonight was what is termed, to folks who understand finance or accounting or business, as a manual reconciliation. There's no audit done. You are manually taking the books, you are matching transactions, and when they don't match, you force them to come into balance. This is not an audit. By Massachusetts law, you're required every 3 years at minimum. They prefer every year, and they prefer it to be an outside firm, but they recognize that some districts cannot. They allow you for 2 years, at least by their recommendation, to do your own review. And then the third year, you're required to do a procedures under agreement contract with an outside auditor, where you set the scope. Ideally, it's supposed to be the school committee, though I could find no vote or minutes or anything that set out any course of how that agreement was scoped or done. Very interesting, because it should require this body's vote.
1 minute.
I'm hoping in the future that will happen. Next, we have quite a bit of misinformation coming out about audits. When you say audits to regular people, they think, oh my goodness, the man is coming to my door. They're going to go through my bank accounts. They want to see all my Dunkin's receipts, all my Cumbies. They want to know when money entered and when money left. Who, what, when, where, why. Hasn't happened. So I'd appreciate it if the district would stop using the term audit, because it's not what's happening here. Further, in the last 4 months or so, as you've gone through the reconciliation, a number of you have brought up great points. But I think you've lost a little bit of sight from the major picture. Starting in 2012, this body was responsible for those audits that I just mentioned.
Thank you.
Moving forward every year, every 3 with an outside firm. They didn't happen. There's no record, there's no documentation, there's been no discussion. It's like a black hole from 2012 to 2018. Fast forward to 2019. There are outside financial firms that were contracted that explicitly put down in writing. There's 6-figure variances at the top level of accounting between the department and the town. There's 6-figure variances between the school and the bank account. Now, I don't know how many of you worked in the private sector, but most of us would be getting visits from detectives if that was allowed to continue.
Give you 1 more minute.
Certainly. I would expect, moving forward, that each of you, you're all talented individuals, look at the failures and correct them. Let's start. The teachers and the account in the club, the folks that oversee the clubs, they failed. The principal, who's bonded and responsible to oversee the clubs and responsible for all of these variances and making sure they don't happen, failed.
Okay, thank
The
you.
businessman.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. All right. We do not need executive session
night.
tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
please?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These votes.